Hare Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yogi Yogi. Come on, I'm going to show a bit more enthusiasm than that. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yogi Yogi. Much better. So firstly, I'm going to ask everyone to come forward a little bit, because what's going to happen is, as the afternoon comes on, more and more people are going to come, and they're going to want to come and sit behind. So everyone come forward a little bit, please. So firstly, before I introduce our guest today, is there anyone who is here for the first time? Now Leslie, we know from Friday nights for the programme in Eagles Cliff. Thank you very much for coming. And Brett, I know because you've been in touch with us on Facebook. So thank you very much for coming. Where have you come from, Brett? Ashington. Fantastic. My wife, Jagnath Eshri, she's a teacher, and her first teaching place was in Ashington.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, she's the lady that you've been in touch with on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Fantastic. And yourself?
Vinod from Maidstone.
Vinod from Maidstone, as in down in Kent?
Yes, Kent.
Wow. And you've come all the way today from Kent?
Not for this. I moved from Kent to Newcastle.
Oh, welcome. How long have you been in Newcastle for?
It's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks now. Well, fantastic. So you had some connection with the Hare Krishna temple down in the south of England?
Anything to do with devotion, I am connected.
Jai, thank you. It's Vinod, right? So Vinod, Brett, Leslie, anyone else who's here for the first time? Robin, we met briefly when you came in, but you already know about chanting Hare Krishna because you were right into it, right? Great, but you live here in Newcastle?
I do now, yeah. I'm trying to get here for the last 3 weeks.
Okay. Great. Where have you moved from?
Northamptonshire.
Northamptonshire. Well, welcome. You're very welcome, both to Newcastle and to the Hare Krishna temple here in Newcastle. So, thank you. So, I wanted to introduce our guest today. This is Bhakta Rupa Dasa from Wales. Bendigedig, Jochen Vau, Oiran Hapis. So, Bhakta Rupa, he lived in the Hare Krishna temple, T. Krishna, in Wales for about 6 years as a monk. Often people see Hare Krishna devotees in like orange clothes, orange robes. So the unmarried devotees, like the monks, they wear orange. But Bhakta Rupa now, he's moved out of the temple and he is engaged to be married. Is that right? Yeah. Let's give him a round of applause. Yeah. And he's up here at the moment, he's working, but he's also travelling around the country and he's interviewing devotees for different podcasts and things like that. But we're really happy to have him here today. And this is his first time to ISKCON Newcastle as well, right? So let's warmly welcome him by loudly chanting the Maha Mantra. We'll give him a round of applause as well. Yeah, no. Let's first give him a round of applause. No, let's go with Brett's round of applause. That's a Geordie welcome, and then we'll give him a Hare Krishna welcome. And on the count of 3, we're going to loudly chant the Hare Krishna mantra. You've just been chanting it. Okay, 1, 2, wait for it. 3. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And today, Bhakta Rupa is going to be speaking about from the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, we've been chanting Hare Krishna, and it's wonderful, but there is a philosophy behind chanting Hare Krishna. So today, Bhakta Rupa is going to be speaking from the Bhagavad Gita and explaining a little bit more about the philosophy. Can someone just bring the Bhagavad Gita, please? Yeah.
We start in the children's club next door with the parents of that store.
Next door for the children's club, for the children and the... sorry? You can give one to everyone, yeah? Or people can look on their phones either.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Has everyone heard of the Bhagavad Gita?
Would you like to share one?
Okay, everyone has a bag of big now. Maybe we start with an invocation. Okay, so usually when we read the Bhagavad Gita, we say an invocation mantra. If you see on the board here, the bottom 3 lines, it says Om. You can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's nice, right? Nice sound vibration. The Gita means song, and Bhagavad is like the divine, the song of God. So it's the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And this is kind of like the ABCs of spiritual life. So you have like Bhagavad Gita is the main text that we read from, and then we have Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a big one, like as long as my arms, and then Chaitanya Charitamrita, so it's like ABC, graduate, postgraduate, kind of, that type of thing. But the Bhagavad Gita is such an interesting text. It takes place on a battlefield like 5,000 years ago, and there's this warrior called Arjuna, and he's like the biggest, baddest warrior in the entire universe. Like he's specially trained to be able to like defeat people in warfare. But back then it's like bows and arrows. But not only bows and arrows, in the Vedic version there's like mantra-empowered weaponry, you know? So like he's like this like super awesome warrior, you know? And he gets caught up in a fratricidal war. You guys ever heard of fratricidal, that word? Fratricidal. It means like a war within a family. Like it's between different members within the family. Anyway, it's a long story. I mean, you can set up the Bhagavad Gita for ages, but basically, long story short, he finds himself about to fight in a war, and his family members on the other side, and he becomes totally bewildered. Like his knees are jelly, he drops his bow, he's sweating, he's palpitating, you know. And but the special kind of the special feature of Bhagavad Gita is that Arjuna, this great warrior, his best mate just happens to be Krishna, who's the supreme personality of Godhead, which means he's like God Almighty, like, you know what I mean? So he's best friends with God, so he's freaking out. Arms be vomiting his sweat already. Mom's spaghetti. You know, like this kind of mood. Panic attack. What's going on? I don't know if I should fight. These are my family over there. Like I'm bewildered. What's the next move? What do I do? Have you ever had an anxiety attack? Like
I feel them like
yeah, anxiety. It's like his mind is just whirring, you know. And Krishna goes, whoa, stop. And basically, Bhagavad Gita is Krishna going, whoa, stop. Let's take it back to basics. And the first thing Krishna says to Arjuna, he goes, wait. You've forgotten something very, very vital. You're acting like a learned person. You're acting like some person because his arguments were all based on, if we slay these people, we'll be overrun with sin, and all of these kind of moral reasons why you can't fight. And Krishna's like, whoa, you're speaking like some guy that knows what's going on, but actually, you're forgetting the key piece of knowledge, and it's the first thing that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. The first like little section of Krishna speaking talks about the soul, and he basically says to Krishna, he says to Arjuna, you're a spirit soul, you're not the body, you're a particle of eternal consciousness. This body is just like a temporary vehicle, but you're an eternal being, you know. So you're mourning over things that are related to this temporary vessel, but actually you're spiritual and you have a higher purpose. And it's sometimes like that for us. Is we make such a big kind of deal out of the situation that's right in front of us, but we've lost the context of our life. You know, like some small or some seemingly big thing in our life, actually in the grand scheme of things, is very small. It's like a storm in a teacup. You know, like if you look how big, we're staying up in Northumbria doing like a building job in a place called Wooler, and we're staying out in the countryside, and you look at the sky, and it's this whole patchwork of stars, like unlimited stars. You look up there and it's like twinkling and absolutely, you can't conceive that there's so many stars and planets out there. You just look there in awe. And then I'm stressing about, I'm on a building site and the guy's saying, you've got to knock down the wall quicker, you've got to go. And I'm like, I don't know how to knock down the wall. You know, like, so I'm freaking out, having my panic attack, anxiety, whatever. But the Bhagavad Gita offers a way that in those circumstances and in those situations you can take a step back and be like, wait a sec, wait. I'm just a soul in a body. I'm eternal. This situation is temporary. And that's why we read Bhagavad Gita a lot, because it's like reminding us. It's like you keep. It's like you drill it into your brain, you know, just like keep reading it. And eventually, then when you get into those situations, you're like, oh wait a sec, I don't need to get so bent out of shape about something that's actually small. So that's Bhagavad Gita. But I selected, like, it's one of my favourite verses. If you find chapter 6, text 30, it's literally beautiful. Literally.
I'm dyslexic, I'm going to I can't find this.
So you're 338?
338, yeah?
I think it is. So this is like, this verse is about how to see, basically how to see God in everything. Did you find it?
Got it.
You got it. Okay, yeah. So this is like, this is a verse that applies to anybody, anywhere, basically. Like, because you might walk in this room and think this looks like Hinduism or something. Like there's some Hindu element to it, but actually knowledge is beyond religion, you know. And even if you read the Bible, like Jesus, he stands there, and the Pharisees are like the ritualistic Jewish people of the time, and the Pharisees, they come to Jesus and they say, your disciples, your followers, they're dirty, they've got dirty fingernails, they don't know anything about following these specific rituals of Judaism. And basically Jesus turns around and says, your followers in name only, like you don't know what you're talking about, because these guys have love for God. They're developing love for God, and it's not so about the external way that you do that, but it's about that internal connection. You have a question?
No, I'm just listening.
Yeah, downloading. Okay, so that's the thing. So Bhagavad Gita is like, it's not actually about Hinduism. It's not about like some set of rituals or some specific mantra that you have to chant and that's the only way through the Father. No, you know, like this kind of conception. It's actually just putting down the science of understanding your relationship with God. Like it's just a science. It's just like literally there's a process and you just follow it, you know. And it's up to you how much you follow it or don't follow it. So spiritual life it really can be a science if you have the right teachers, right environment, blah blah blah. Anyway, this verse is basically about it's helping us to learn how to see God, divinity, Krishna, Allah, Yahweh, whatever name you want to put on, but how to see God in all things and everywhere. You know? So the Sanskrit's really nice. I could just say it. Yo mam pasyati sarvatra savam cha mai pasiti tasyaham na pranasyami sachame na pranasyati. And then the English. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So you can recite that with me. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me. I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. It's poetic. It's beautiful. It's the only verse in English that I found in the Bhagavad Gita that rhymes in this book. All the other ones are like long and complicated. Yamam pasyati sarvatra savam jamai pasyati tasya hamna pranasyami sachamena pranasyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Now I'll just read the purport, which was written by Srila Prabhupada, who's our guru, and he just so happens to be sitting here in the room too. Jai Prabhupada. So, this is Prabhupada who wrote the book. He's just there. Anyway, purport. A person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Krishna everywhere, and he sees everything in Krishna. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestations of the material nature, but in each and every instance he is conscious of Krishna, knowing that everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna, a position transcendental even to the material liberation. At that stage of Krishna consciousness, beyond self-realization, the devotee becomes one with Krishna in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. An intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of sight of the devotee. To merge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. A devotee takes no such risk, as is stated in the Brahma Samhita. Premanjana chita bhakti velochanena santa sadaiva hridayesha velokayanti yang shama sundarama chinta gunasvarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Nice. I like these sounds. They're good, aren't they? The Sanskrit stuff. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by a devotee whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shama Sundar, situated within the heart of the devotee. At this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma within the heart, the same applies. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord himself. So, if you guys, Krishna, it said Krishna about 15 times in the, or 100 times, or 1,000 times in that purport. Krishna. So Krishna is a name for God. It's the name of God. That means the all-attractive personality. So God is fully attractive in all aspects. So within this world we find many things attractive. If someone's very strong, you think that's quite interesting. If someone's very wealthy, we're pretty attracted. Like a lot of us like to see a fancy watch or a nice diamond ring or some form of wealth, very attractive. If someone's very clever, that's attractive. They're very learned and they can, spit bars off the dome. Like rappers that are clever and whatnot. Someone's very learned, very attractive. Also, if someone's quite renounced, if someone's given up the material world, that's also attractive. Like if you see a Buddhist monk, a lot of us are like, that's something about that I kind of want. Because we're attached to this world. And basically that attachment causes us suffering, So we identify with all of the things around us, and we constantly stressed about maintaining them or growing them or working with them. Like about 2 months ago, I just was watching YouTube videos, and then came up stuff about Pokemon cards, and I was like, oh, Pokemon cards, I remember these from when I was a little wee boy. And then in the temple, there's no chance that you're going to think about Pokemon cards because you're just being a monk full time. But now I'm out and I've got a bit of freedom, and I was like, oh, I'm going to buy some vintage Japanese Pokemon cards, you know? And anyway, like long story short, 3 weeks of my life was spent obsessing about, okay, right, I'm going to this Pokemon card shop, I'll buy a card for cheap, I'll go over here, sell it for a bit more and trade it. And I became like very attached to like collecting Pokemon cards. You know? And then I just noticed that it was causing me so much suffering and distress because it was like, all I could think about was these silly little pieces of card, you know? So first of all, like when we're attached, when we get attached to things, it causes us distress and a bit of suffering like that. So that's why renunciation can be like an attractive thing, because it's like, oh, that person doesn't seem so attached. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like the natural progression. If you're an intelligent person and you're like conscious of what you're doing from day to day and like kind of introspective, you can kind of see like, oh yeah, all these material things are not really giving you happiness. And like you speak to people all day on the street and they'll say, no, it's not, the answer is not a big house and a car. Like everyone kind of knows that the material things are not it. So like, okay, natural progression, let's try and become detached. So that's kind of like, that's what we was talking about how a Buddhist monk is attractive because he has that opulence of renunciation. So we're thinking, okay, they're quite detached. They kind of, that's quite interesting. But what we're learning from Krishna consciousness stuff is that instead of becoming detached from material things and like separating yourself from everything out there is misery and suffering, so I have to go inside and be happy. Instead of like pulling the plug out of material life, we learn to see how everything is connected to God and how everything is connected to a spiritual reality. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's what this verse is. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So, has anyone, do you have something to say?
No, I've related to quite a few things, like you said. Been going through a lot lately, and don't know. If anything, you've made us feel a bit better, and let's see where this goes. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is one of my idols. So when he walked in, I just kind of like, my mouth just stopped. Did you notice I was flowing and then he walked in? I was like,
I can go out.
no, you can stay.
Not a problem.
But we try and figure it out. We roll with it. But yeah.
So my perception so far as a being, this material world is very bad, full of trouble. You'll never get perfection within this material world. It's damaged type of world. How do you reconcile that then with seeing Krishna with everything?
Yeah. So like this it's interesting what you say, because like you need kind of to see how you need like it's called Sambandha-jnana. Sambandha-jnana. Okay, I can speak freely now. Okay, right. Anyway, so no, you need a bit of knowledge to understand how things are connected. Sambandha means relationship, and jnana means knowledge. So like the Bhagavad Gita, the basics of it is Sambandha-jnana. So like the simple basic, strip it down. I'm an eternal spirit soul. I have a place within the spiritual reality. You can call it heaven. We call it Vaikuntha, which means a place free from anxiety, a spiritual reality. We have a place there, but through one decision or another, we decided that, okay, I don't want to be here in the spiritual world, because the spiritual world is all about serving God. So we had like this thought that was like, no, I don't want to do this. Why do I have to serve God? Maybe I should be God, you know. So, because Krishna, God, doesn't want to force us to love him, he says, okay, fine, step away. Like, I'm not going to force you to stay here if you don't want to, because we have free will. So you had that thought, who knows when, infinite time ago, you know. So this material world is a facility that allows us living entities to execute our free will. So we can, and it's all designed, it's like a closed system. You heard about the law of karma? Like this reality has laws running through it. If you do good things, then generally you'll get good reactions. And if you do bad things, generally you get bad reactions. So it's like this self-contained, they call it Durga. It's like a prison house for the soul. But within it we have free will to choose good or bad. And sometimes bad things happen to us and we've been good. But we understand that it's a many lifetime picture, you know what I mean? So it's like, and sometimes good things happen to bad people. It's like that kind of thing. So we kind of have to learn the philosophy of how everything is connected to God, like that. But even with like the bad things that happen, we can also learn to appreciate the good aspects of this material reality, this realm, you know. Like we're driving, I'm working on, I said, a building site up in Wooler. And we're driving half an hour every day through the Northumberland, Thumbria countryside, and just vistas and views and fields and sheep and just
gorgeous, isn't it?
Beauty. And I was just thinking, like, this has all come from that beautiful creator, that source of reality. You know? It's just a spark of the beauty of the divine, you know. So it's like, okay, bad stuff does happen, but if we can learn to see how the bad things that are happening to us aren't necessarily a setback, but they can become a setup for greatness. It requires a shift in your consciousness, a shift in your perspective, and it requires like giving up that victim mentality of like, this isn't fair, I don't deserve this, like why is this going to happen to me? Instead of being like that, we switch it and say, okay, there's some lesson here that until I learn the lesson, I'm just saying this, but I'll give you a practical example. So I was a monk for 5-6 years in Wales. Just before I moved in the temple, I was on building sites, doing labouring work. You know? And all the time I had this victim mentality of, I don't have to do this, I'm breathing in all this dust, and like I've got dust in my eyes, and I'm messy, and it's just, I don't want to do this. You know? I'm constantly just agitated, frustrated with my situation, not accepting it. And then spent 6 years in the temple and thought, okay, maybe once I move out, I'll be some kind of like, I don't know, whatever, something free, and like I was a monk, and that's on my CV. Turns out you put a monk on your CV, no one cares. It's just, if anything, I'm just like, no, that's weird. Like, it's just a weird thing. So I couldn't find jobs, not normal jobs, you know, like clean, non-builder jobs. So I was like, and then it turned out like one of the guys that goes to the temple in Cardiff was like, oh, Bhakta Rupa, I got a job up in Northumbria. What do you reckon? I was like, fine. They would accept it, you know. And then it's like, I knew that for 3 weeks I'd be happy, just doing the job. And it was always after 3 weeks I'd get frustrated and want to leave. So the 3 weeks was last Friday, and it was like that. He was shouting at me like, you know, like, I've never laid a brick wall in my life, and he's going, you don't have to lay this brick wall if you think you are, da, 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 da. And I was just like, what? Like, I was just getting bewildered, like, I don't want to do this, like, what, I don't deserve this, who is he to speak to me, you know? All those old thoughts of the victim mentality, this doesn't belong, like, this isn't fair. But I reached out to Chaitanya Bhagavan and he set me straight. He sent me like a extensive voice note. But it kind of hinted to what we talked about, this law of karma, and how everything that comes to us, we do kind of deserve it for some reason beyond our perception. You know? And it was like, okay, if I just accept my situation and choose to be positive and choose to take it as a lesson in humility, okay, he's shouting at me, okay, I'll just become more humble. I won't push back, I won't. And it's like, we have these tests. Is it too quiet?
Yeah, it's too quiet.
I'm not used to speaking into a mic. What he talking about?
So you're being more humble.
Yeah, so you can take everything as a lesson for spirituality, because like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, up on the altar we've got the Panchatattva, Panchatattva Krishnam, Bhakta Rupa, Sarupakam, Bhaktavataram, Bhaktikam, Namadinam, Shatkam. Anyway, center of the center.
It took me like 6 months to learn half of the words that you can talk.
I got 6 years of it. So. Wait, there's one really nice one in 10th chapter of the Gita. Arjuna goes, Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavam, Purusham, Shashvatam, Divyam, Madidevyam, Bhajam. It's all very rhythmic. You know what I mean? Anyway, Lord Chaitanya in the middle, he's, what were we talking about?
You say you were being quite humble.
Oh yeah,
instead of pushing back, you have accepted.
Take the humble path. And that's the verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted on me. He said, Trinada Pisa Nichana, Tanura Pisa Hishmana, Amanina Manatina, Kirtaniya Sadahari, which means we have to be lower than a blade of grass. That's how humble we need to be. Lower than a blade of grass. And more tolerant than a tree. You know, like a tree will get battered by the weather, battered by the wind, and it's just getting knocked about by the elements, but still it remains strong, tolerant, and it gives people shelter. So it's like that, this building, going on a building site, shouting at me, I need to tolerate it, you know what I mean? What good will it be not tolerating it? Just run away? Because this is what Arjuna was saying as well, isn't it? Like, I want to run away. He said on the battlefield, he said, I don't want to fight against I want to be spiritual, I don't want to fight. I should go to the forest and hide. Like I should go and meditate, I should go and meditate. I shouldn't do this. I should go on a yoga retreat in Rishikesh. I should, I should get out of my situation and then I'll be happy. And Krishna said, that's stupid. You, wherever you are, he literally did say that. That's dumb. He called him a Buddha. He called him a Muta. He says you're a donkey. So he goes, no, don't be a donkey. When you go to Rishikesh retreat, you're still going to be there. You're still there with all your problems and all your mind and all of the troubles that are following you around everywhere. You can't get away from yourself. So better to stand on a battlefield and fight. In other words, stay where you are and deal with what you've got in front of you. Better that. And do that whilst thinking of me. He says, think of me, think of God. Think about how this is connected to the Supreme. And think about how grateful you are to be a part of this awesome universe that was created by someone who loves you enough to let you do whatever you want. You know what I mean? He's given you this. So do your duty, but try and connect. Try and seek out, how is this connected? How can I learn my lesson here? And that's the thing, he's reciprocating. As those surrender to me, that's what he says. As those surrender their plans, they give themselves up to me, I reward them accordingly. So it's like a reciprocation. With every action that we do is constantly being reciprocated with. So it's like, I was telling them about how earlier I was collecting Pokemon cards, like three weeks ago. I went down this rabbit hole of collecting Pokemon cards. And it was like that reciprocation. It was like, okay, you want to go collect Pokemon cards? You want to be miserable like you were supposed to be. And it was exactly the same as before. I was in the temple, I was just like, I'm just depressed, spending all my money on a piece of card. And it was just like, I was just like, you know what I mean? Actually, maybe I should get back in, get your bead bag out, and start chanting again. So it's like there's this perfect conversation between you and God at all times, And that's what the chanting and that's what praying is all about. Praying is about petitioning for that relationship. It's like speaking to God, you know what I mean? And when we read, it's like He's speaking to us. So it's like if you have that perfect combination of hearing and chanting, it's really good. It works out for the better. How long do we go on?
You can continue, and then you can open up for some questions and reflections.
Yeah, sure. Does anyone have anything they want to say? Or something nice and interesting today?
Too many things.
Too many things.
Too many things. The thing I wanted to say.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking, thanks, it's really nice, firstly, to hear how you're explaining the philosophy, because I really feel that you're making the Bhagavad Gita, which was, written or spoken 5,000 years ago, the way you're presenting it in such a way that it's really relevant to all of us in our modern day lives. So it's really, firstly, I just want to say thank you. It's really nice to hear how you're explaining the philosophy and showing us how it's relevant in our own lives. And I was just thinking about the fact you were talking about, this Trinadapi, we should be lower than in beta grass, and tolerant, and I was just thinking that often we know that we might know the philosophy, or we know things in theory, but sometimes there seems to be a disconnect between what we know we're supposed to do, but then what we actually do. Often it's like, I know that, but I still don't do it, You gave the example of your Pokemon cards. Deep down you knew that perhaps this isn't really going to, but still we do it, and we're learning from the school of hard knocks, So I'm just wondering, what is it that causes this disconnect between we might know something's right, but we don't do it, and how can we develop, how can we be more aligned with acting in accordance with what we know is right, Does that clear?
That's a nice question. So what? You sound like Arjuna over there. This literally Arjuna asked the same question to Krishna. He's like on the battlefield, and he's like, oh, Krishna, what is it that causes me to do things that I don't want to do, as if I'm pushed, as if I'm forced, yeah. And Krishna basically says this: you've got too much of a lust for life. That's how he says it. You've got too much. You're trying to enjoy this material energy too much. You're trying to squeeze enjoyment out of your Pokemon cards, or you're trying to squeeze enjoyment out of the scroll lock.
Do you not just think it's a part of being human? I don't think we'll always just be human, and that maybe we're going to have to battle with that for the rest of our lives, It's what I think anyway,
Yeah. You're right, actually, because we're spiritual beings, spirit souls, in a human body. The soul is eternal, full of knowledge, and blissful.
My tools must be knowledge.
Maybe not, but
the
point I'm making is
I think we're always going to be flawed. I think, and I think that's the nature of existence for us. I think we're always going to be flawed, and I think it's always going to go either or. That's how I feel, anyway.
I'd say it's nice what you're saying, but ultimately it comes down to discernment. When we discern that we cannot find pleasure in those things of the world, then we don't have to control ourselves.
Yeah, so you need to experience something that's more than that kind of mundane.
Then there's no willpower involved. You just know that's not where pleasure is.
Yeah, and that's what Krishna says too. You give up these lower things by experiencing a higher taste. You have that spiritual flavor. In a kirtan. What did you think of that singing that we was just doing earlier?
Say that again, sorry.
When we were singing the mantra.
What did I think?
Yeah, how did you feel?
Really happy.
Felt happy.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is.
And I mean, that's the first time in months in weeks, that I've had a genuine smile on my face. And I'm still learning about the religion, and but it made us really happy.
And that's what I was saying. By nature, you're blissful. That's who you are. That happiness that you felt.
Yeah.
That was from the soul. It wasn't Pokemon card happiness or doom scroll or drugs happiness. It wasn't. It was from something different. I'm not a good singer. It wasn't my voice that was.
You're better than me.
But you know what I mean? That happiness was coming from something different.
Your vibration is
the vibration is the mantra. Om. No, vibrations, good vibrations.
And this is coming from someone, so I mean, a year ago I was an atheist, alright? Obviously, my girl, not now, sorry, but my girl was an Indian Hindu, and I would go visit her in India, and she would come visit me, and she told me, Brett, just go to church, not like, don't go to, like just go to church, not like, don't go to like a Hindu temple. She went, just go pray and you'll feel better. And I did. And that's when I started getting like a relationship with God. And it sounds odd because she was a Hindu, I was a Christian, and obviously I've come over the side of it, you know. But like it was like, yeah, praying, it did something. I don't know what it did. I don't know. To be honest, I don't even know who I was praying to. Yeah, but like now I'm here, you know. So
I feel that. I agree with you there. You wouldn't have caught me praying 7, 8 years ago. You know, like I'm not a praying guy, but it does work.
It does. It just did something.
Yes, it does.
I just, based upon Prabhu's question, I would like to echo some points that actually Prabhuji made few, I guess like 2 months ago something, is that probably I asked the same question, and this is also something that Srila Prabhupada writes in this book, is like, we like to enjoy, we want desire stuff because we are part and tiny minuscule of that Supreme, and because He is the Supreme enjoyer of everything, and because we are a tiny part of Him, even we have the desire to enjoy. We have the desire, that innate thing for craving for all those stuff. It's because of we are part and parcel of Him. But so, I guess understanding that or making, it's almost like when you have ocean in front of you, why would you go for a bucket of water? It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
I feel maybe that is the case.
I agree. Yeah, Krishna is the big time enjoyer, and we're like little particles of Him, like a drop of water out of the ocean. It's salty and wet, just like ocean water. It's made of the same quality, but it's different in quantity, isn't it? So like, the fact that you want to enjoy it comes from the fact that Krishna wants to enjoy it, basically. So it's just finding the right way to enjoy it, and that's what
Question, comment. Is it right for me? It seems like we are in the world, but not to be of the world. So it's navigating all these temptations, but having, as you say, the human part and enjoying while we are here, because we all come here for, I call it a cosmic play. It's a big joke. I mean, it's a big joke in a sense. What we discover learn so many things about ourselves when we interact with other human people. Yet we are all in one. Right?
Yeah. This is what it comes back to the verse: "For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, and He's never lost to me." Yeah. Hare Krishna. Oh, go on.
Yeah, I just had a small question. Is that in the purport, in the same text, it's written like, in that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of God ever out of the sight of the devotee. To merge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. A devotee takes no such risk. What is the risk?
The risk of merging into Lila.
Oh. So we are talking about the different type of liberation which we don't want.
Yeah, there's different types of liberation. Do you know what they are? Svarup? Do you know? Sayuj, Svarup. But so like one type of liberation is to kind of, like I said, the drops of water out of the ocean, to like go back into the ocean and become like one with the ocean, but lose your own self in that ocean. You know what I mean? but better for that is to remain a person, I don't know, than just a drop of water.
I think Sri Ramakrishna said, better to taste the sugar than become the sugar.
Yeah. Better to taste the sugar than become the sugar. Anyway, I think we're finished. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for listening, everyone. And,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Honor you.
Do you want
His praise back to Rupa Prabhu Ki. Let's show some appreciation for Bhakta Rupa Prabhu. I think we can give him a round of applause. No, I said some appreciation. That was a Sunday afternoon applause. Go on, a bit more rounder. That was great. I really enjoyed that, and I really liked the way you presented the philosophy in a way which seems really relevant. You know, because sometimes we might feel like that. What does a 5,000-year-old book? What's that got to do with me living in? I was going to say Newcastle. I actually live in Sunderland, so you know, don't hold it against me.
Yeah.
So, I support Coventry City. I'm not a Sunderland fan. But you know, we sometimes might think, what's it got to do with me? You know, it's 5,000 years or written, you know, in Sanskrit. What's that got to do with me living in the northeast in 2025? But I really liked the way you presented it. Just goes to show it's timeless wisdom for all ages, because you know, real knowledge doesn't change, does it? You know, Bhagavad Gita was as relevant 5,000 years ago as it is today, and as it will be 5,000 years from now, because we don't change. We're still the soul. We're we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. So thank you so much. That was wonderful, and thank you everyone for your questions. It's good to have questions, particularly if we get to the end of the talk and then we say, is there any questions, and everyone just sits there like that. You think either I've bored you to death, or you just, you know, so that's great. So thank you all for your questions. We're going to try and put this philosophy into practice. We started off with some chanting, Hare Krishna, and we're going to do that again. We're going to do a little song first called Gora Arti, and that will lead into chanting of Hare Krishna. We'll put the song up on the board over here. Generally we have the men on this side and the ladies on that side, and for this we hope you've brought your dancing socks with you, because actually you become even more blissful when you sing and dance like that, you know. Like Bhakta Rupa quoted this, Yayatam nam prapajante tams tataiva bhajamiham. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. So let's give it a try, right? Okay, so everyone come up. We've been sitting down for a little while now. We'll give our legs a stretch, and we're going to do some singing and dancing.